It's Furzy and myself on a Wednesday, and I spoke to our good friend Keegan Matheson about the Cody Bellinger situation. He is the last remaining big name in MLB free agency, and the Yankees are top of the pile to get him. And then there's rumored to be two other mystery teams. And you know what Keegs told us? He said, yeah, that's just the agent drumming up more money because the Yankees maybe just bidding against themselves, Furzy.
I mean, look, if the Blue Jays want to kind of come into New York and snatch Cody Bellinger as the missing link away from my beloved pinstripers, by all means, Toolsy, I'm happy to throw him in the back seat of a stretch limo and drive him north of the border. If you guys want to have that bet there. I feel pretty fortunate, though, not that Kyle Tucker decided to become a member of the Dodgers for $60 million a year, but that I was sitting next to our dear friend Kyle when that news broke last week at the Golden Knights game. And I kind of looked at him and said, if that was going to be the asking price, the Jays did themselves a favor by not matching that astronomical price tag for a guy that has been rumored for a long time to not necessarily love baseball, but I know it leaves a hole in the middle of that Jays lineup, especially with Mr. Bichette taking his talents to Citi Field.
Yeah, Bo Bichette is going to be introduced to the New York media today. And I don't know. He may just see it and say, what have I done?
I think that's how everybody feels the first time that they put on New York Mets colors. They go, wait a second, what am I doing here? Why was I not given a piece of the casino project that's going to be built around Citi Field? And it may not necessarily always be that the grass is greener on the other side. So let's see what Bichette looks like in that Mets lineup. But again, given the asking price and what Bichette was able to command on the open market, I think the Jays dodged yet another bullet, and they're going to have an opportunity to maybe be more aggressive at the trade deadline, free up some of that capital, and get players that can truly have an impact for 160 plus games. I just don't feel that's in Bichette's dynamic at this point in his repertoire.
Wait, let's back it up. There's a casino going in by Citi Field because right now in Pittsburgh, we have a Rivers Casino. That's our company. It's right next to where the Steelers play. So the Mets are getting into that ball game. Are they affiliated with the casino?
Well, not necessarily the Mets, but Steve Cohen, it's one of his casino projects. Yeah. So he'll have a chance to get his fingers in all of those lovely revenue streams that are there. And having been to the Rivers Casino right adjacent to, I guess, Heinz Field or Krischer Field, whatever the hell we want to call it, beautiful property right there overlooking the confluence of the three rivers. Not somewhere that I'd necessarily want to be this time of year, Dan, because I can't handle cold weather. But highly recommended as a place to tailgate either before or after a Pittsburgh Pirates game that draws about 900 fans. So you too can sit right behind home plate and scream profanities at Paul Skeens if your heart so desires.
Furzy, you know better than anyone. When you're in a casino, weather doesn't exist.
Well, that casino has beautiful panoramic views. They do things right there compared to the casinos out here in Las Vegas where you don't know what time of day it is. You have to use all sorts of masking agents to essentially cover up one of the legal substances that you now get a contact high from when you walk up and down Las Vegas Boulevard. So we like to confuse time of day, weather elements, and everything else out here. But casinos around the country, they don't adhere to some of those same very principles.
That's right. We do it right. That's what you're saying. Hey, earlier you had the Leafs pop into your brain. What do you got? First off, your take on seeing the Leafs in person when you went to the game.
That the passion is real for Leafs fans who booed Mitchell Marner every time he touched the puck in enemy territory. You wouldn't think that that was a player that they did everything they could to run out of Toronto, that he had decided to leave entirely of his own volition and just wanted to take his talents elsewhere. But Leafs fans turned out well. I'm still always amazed with the amount of people that decide it's a good idea to wear all of those St. Pat's jerseys in public, but different discussion for a different day, not around St. Patrick's Day itself. But look, I think Mitchell Marner is going to find a much different reception when the return trip is made this coming Friday night, but a hell of an atmosphere. And it felt like a little bit more than just a regular season game. Maybe it felt extra special because the Golden Knights were able to erase multiple 2-goal deficits and go on to win that game in overtime with arguably the worst back check you will ever see from a highly paid superstar in Austin Matthews.
Anthony Stolar's news. He's getting a conditioning stint. At the start of the year, he was the next Carey Price in every Leafs fan's mind. So this is a very good piece of injury news for this team.
The question I have for you, Dan, was it Carey Price because of what his ceiling could have been to stabilize the position, or the fact that he wasn't going to be out there for more than 25 to 30 games during the regular season, given what Carey Price became in the latter
The
portions?
ceiling, the
Okay.
ceiling.
Okay. Look, Joseph Woll, when healthy, is still a top 15 netminder, in my opinion. Dennis Hildeby has done a phenomenal job to kind of stabilize that backup spot. The bigger issue for the Leafs is they just have to get healthy offensively. I mean, you'd like to see them have Austin Matthews going at how he is right now, have William Nylander be able to return from that groin injury, and the mysterious lower body ailment that only gets better with rest that is clearly hampering Matthew Nyes. And you have to imagine that the Olympic break will be a welcome respite for him, given all of the comments from both Brad Treliving and Craig Berube as well.
I just want to point out, not to give a "I told you so," but at the start of the year, I said my good friend Connor Ingram, he was put on waivers by Utah. I said a team would be brilliant to pick him up. The Edmonton Oilers picked him up, put him into the minors, and then they had injuries in goal, called him up, and Connor Ingram has given the Edmonton Oilers no choice but to keep him in their lineup. He's given up just 6 goals in his last 5 games. So I said he was out there. He is, I say, a poor man's Carey Price. I just keep bringing up Carey Price because when in his prime, if you wanted a game one, I would go with Carey Price every single time. But Connor Ingram has solidified the goal position in Edmonton.
He's really forced their hand. I mean, even with Tristan Jarry coming back from IR, we saw Jarry play well, albeit in a 2-1 loss against the New Jersey Devils on Tuesday night. That Connor Ingram has shown he deserves a start. You know, whether it's every third game, if they want to play Tristan Jarry a little bit more down the stretch, knowing that he's going to get some time off as well, as most of the league will with the Olympic break. And I think Cal Pickard has kind of become the odd man out at this point. So credit the Oilers for doing a little bit to stabilize that goaltending position. And I don't think it's going to be the same black hole that we've grown accustomed to in the playoffs in the past. Now, I know that there isn't the same pedigree for Connor Ingram, but I think they're going to at least give both of those guys a chance to earn their starts and earn their reps to keep them fresh. And if the Oilers are going to play better team defense around them, I think both of those guys are more than capable and able-bodied to allow this team to make a deep run into the Western Conference like they've done each of the last couple of years.
Connor and I had a big cereal text chat yesterday. Here's a little tidbit. He's a big Cinnamon Toast Crunch fan.
Which should be one of the top cereals. I mean,
overrated.
No, if you're going through to try and power rate cereal, Cinnamon Toast Crunch should be in everyone's top 5.
Fruit Loops.
Honey Graham should be up there as well. Fruit Loops are overrated. I'll take Apple Jacks over Fruit Loops 7 days a week, Toolsy, and twice on Sunday. But you know what? I'll give you Fruit Loops before I'll give you Lucky Charms. I've never been able to figure out the fascination or fixation, as the case may be, with those gross marshmallows that they put in all those breakfast cereals that are downright horrific.
I will tell you this, having lived in LA for 4 years and tasted cereal there, the Fruit Loops and Corn Pops, completely different here in Canada and 1,000 times better. So maybe I will put a care package together for you, Furzy, with Canadian Fruit Loops and Canadian Corn Pops.
I'm going to have to try and do a side-by-side then. I mean, if we're talking very few artificial flavors and sweeteners there, and the Fruit Loops are better in Canada, then maybe we have something, a little bit of a revelation here. I thought you were going to tell me that they tried to expose you to like a tofu crunch, or you were eating nothing but Nutri-Grain cereal, you know, being part of the West Coast elite.
Oh, no. I went the opposite way. I discovered zebra cakes, and I became addicted to those for a while. Those were tasty. Hey, let's discuss the Buffalo Bills and the Sean McDermott fallout. Is Mike Tomlin going to be the new head coach of the Buffalo Bills?
I don't think that's going to happen. It would come as a surprise to me if that's the direction that the Bills want to go in. Mike Tomlin, if you read the tea leaves, and I'm not one to read the gossip columns by any stretch, has things away from the football field that he may need to attend to in the near future, more so than returning to the sidelines without at least a 1-year hiatus. Have to imagine that there's a good chance we'll see Tomlin in media. But what was interesting in the Bills' kind of the State of the Union address, Terry Pagula more or less saying that it was the loss to the Denver Broncos. That was the final straw that broke the camel's back, realizing that they needed to go in a different direction. You know, Brian Dable has kind of moved to the forefront We know the familiarity he has with Josh Allen. I think a lot of Bills fans might be underwhelmed by that, given how his tenure as bench boss of the New York Giants went. But at the same time, you need to try and bring in, at least in my opinion, an offensive minded guy, see if Josh Allen can unleash a little bit more of the talent that's in there. But in typical Bills fashion, what better way than for them to try and think they're going to upset the apple cart than to fire the head coach and consolidate power at the general manager spot, where you have Billy Beane that has had 2 Pro Bowlers, I believe, in his last 56 draft picks. So kudos to the Bills for giving someone more power that, quite frankly, might not have done anything to be able to deserve it.
I floated this idea on Monday. So far, no one has co-signed on my idea. Buffalo Bills, new stadium. You want to change the identity of the team. You want to be flashy. You want to have a good year. You want sound bites. And the man to provide that is Mike McDaniel.
I would have potentially agreed to some extent, but Mike McDaniel has new employment now, Toolsy.
Why, he got hired?
He took the job as the offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Chargers.
Ah!
He burned and rebuffed the Cleveland Browns, basically saying, you know what, I've seen how dysfunctional your franchise is. I'm not even going to bother showing up for my second interview. But at the same time, can you blame a guy that looked like he was a cocaine kingpin towards the latter portions of his career with the Miami Dolphins, fully adopted the capris, changed his looks? He wasn't going to go from South Beach to Cleveland. I think Los Angeles makes a lot more sense. He's able to try and resurrect that resume of sorts. But you mentioned the kind of change that Buffalo needs in that stadium. I still wonder if this Bills franchise, even with Josh Allen, should be a little bit apprehensive about flying into the face of the storm up there and hoping that they don't end up in irrelevance. I mean, this was a franchise that had a 17-year playoff drought before Sean McDermott righted the ship in season 1 with Tyrod Taylor. And then, of course, the rest has been history with Josh Allen. But there's no doubt, I mean, this is a franchise desperate to make it to the Super Bowl and win one for the first time in their illustrious history.
And what's your take on a team in a new stadium? You don't want to be embarrassed, so there's added pressure that you put on yourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think you always want to kind of go through a little bit of a facelift at the same time. But if I was the Bills ownership group, I probably would have built a dome out there in Western New York rather than claiming that we wanted to continue to play in the elements. I'll refrain from some of the commentary I might have about the economics that impacted that potential decision. But look, is a head coach really going to be that shiny object that Bills Mafia is going to rally around and suddenly change the dynamics after the decrepit building that they finished out the tenure this past season? It's all going to be where Josh Allen can take him. I think the roster needs a little bit of a facelift. The offense needs a separator in the pass catching group. And defensively, they're going to need a little bit more in terms of overall health. But you probably need another linebacker, something to anchor that secondary opposite Christian Benford. They're not that far away, but I know for Bills fans, that's no consolation prize because it looked like everything was going to trend in their direction. Knowing that you didn't have to go through Patrick Mahomes, there was no Lamar Jackson, and you were so close to beating the Broncos on the road, having a chance to take on a division rival and spoil the party for the Patriots.
We discussed this last time we chatted about who the NFL would want in the Super Bowl. And of the 4 remaining teams, they would not have handpicked any of them because Patriots, Broncos in the AFC, Seahawks, Rams in the NFC. Everyone watches the Super Bowl, but it will not be the most watched Super Bowl in league history. I will tell you that.
You're not excited about the potential prospects of the Denver Broncos being represented with Jared Stidham under center and the very real potential that if Sam Darnold's oblique injury is more serious than they're letting on, he can't go and we get Drew Lock on one side, Jared Stidham on the other. Nothing says Super Bowl Sunday with a couple of journeyman backups in the mix. But to your point, I think that the Rams are an attractive proposition. We know the Seahawks will travel well. But in terms of the AFC, you have to imagine that they're kind of rooting for Drake May, hoping that he can have a Tom Brady type impact to bring back this New England Patriots dynasty. But at this point, I don't think anybody is all that excited about the prospects that the Denver Broncos bring to the table with Bo Nix being lost for the season with that broken ankle.
They keep bringing up the Super Bowl logo, and there's a bunch of colors in there. So I am waiting for the conspiracy theory to pop into my timeline. See, it's the color of blank team. There's 47 different colors in this year's Super Bowl logo.
Well, Dan, I'm going to give you conspiracy theory 1 year in advance. And I don't know if anybody has talked about it already, but where is next year's Super Bowl? It just so happens to be in Los Angeles. The name of the stadium in Los Angeles is SoFi Stadium. What product does Josh Allen endorse? Maybe Josh Allen, as an endorser for SoFi products, ends up winning the first Super Bowl in Bills history at SoFi Stadium.
What does SoFi sell? What is it?
I think it's like loan consolidation, something along those lines. I think it's a financial product in some capacity, but you're going to now send me into the depths of the internet as soon as we wrap up our segment a little bit.
He also is in, he sells beds too. I think he's in bed commercials.
Yes. What is it? Is it Tempur-Pedic, or I can't remember which one he promotes versus Josh Allen. We know quarterbacks promoting their sleeping practices becomes an extremely invaluable billion-dollar industry.
I'm getting closer in age to one of the beds that you can hit a button and you can sit up. I am getting one of those.
It does sound like a pretty good idea. I mean, being able to control the climate on your side of the bed as well. And you go, you know what? I don't want to have to get up if I want to watch TV in bed. I'm going to hit a button that makes my life a hell of a lot easier instead of sleeping on the piece of plywood that we all did as kids.
So who's your who is your Super Bowl pick?
So I think the Rams pull off a minor upset and knock off the Seattle Seahawks. I think they'll sell out, stop the run, make Sam Darnold prove that he can beat them through the air. So I'll pay to find out in that regard. I think the Rams win the NFC. And I think the Patriots win a close game against the Denver Broncos. Drake May just makes 1 to 2 more plays more than Jarrett Stidham does. So I think we are headed for the third iteration of a Rams-Patriots Super Bowl, 20 plus years in the making.
And if you were to give a percentage of the Yankees landing Cody Bellinger, and we can never count out the Dodgers, and what is the Dodgers' percentage of landing Cody Bellinger? Because he's supposedly making his decision this week.
If Cody Bellinger ended up back with the Dodgers as well, I mean, we're going to get even closer to the labor stoppage that feels inevitable at this point, where every owner across the league outside of the Dodgers ownership group is going to be pushing for a salary cap. So we should enjoy the 2026 season, because I'm not sure how many games we're actually going to get in 2027. But in terms of Cody Bellinger, I'll set the odds that he ends up as a member of the Yankees a little bit north of 70%. I'll set the Dodgers odds at about 3.5%, and we'll call other that proverbial piece on that pie chart that all of us, grimaced and recoiled in disgust when those were shown to us in math class throughout our youth.
So that's playing the field, I guess.
Yep, we're going to put the field in there as a legitimate option for Cody Bellinger.
Furzy, can't wait to get you your cereal package. Don't send any this way because it's crap. Have a good one.
All right. Look, I'm looking forward to trying Canadian Fruit Loops. It may be that missing link to what I've really needed to help fill a void for me, Toolsy.